And now, Mike's thoughts.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are sick and tired of this so-called safest play in football. We are I'm so sick and tired of all this tush-push BS. And look, I will admit this, minus the occasional broken leg, minus the occasional broken arm, or a pile-up injury, it is probably one of the safest plays in the NFL. It's a rugby scrum, not a trick play. Line up, low man wins, push forward, get your yard. Fine. I'm no problem with that. But here's where I have my problem. Here's the thing that drives me absolutely nuts about this tush push. The Philadelphia Eagles don't run it clean. They cheat every single time. You got false starts that never get flagged. You got linemen lining up off sides that never get flagged. You got centers nudging the ball forward and never gets flagged. And guess what? Official after official after official just swallows their whistle like nothing's happening. That's not innovative football. That's not taking advantage of that's taking the advantage of the fact that the referees don't want to be the bad guy to ruin this highlight of a play. Sean Payton said it himself this week. The Broncos are about to face the Philadelphia Eagles. He supports the play because it's safe, it's efficient, and it really is just a glorified quarterback sneak. He's not wrong. Go back to Bart Starr in the Ice Bowl. Same concept. But here's where he and I split. Payton gives the Eagles credit of how they run it. To me, I don't see it. I see a team abusing the gray area. I see an NFL letting them get away with it because they built this little cult following around the brotherly shove. And did you see what they did against the Bucs? They lined it up like it was the tush push time. Tight formations, body sack. Instead of driving Hurts forward, they pitched it to Saquon Barkley on a sweep for a touchdown. That's not even a play anymore. That's just window dressing. The Eagles are using repetition of the shove to bait defenses, and it works. Credit for creativity? Sure, why not? But don't act like you're reinventing football. So yeah, keep the push if you want, even if you say it's safe. But don't sit here and tell me that the Eagles are playing by the rules. They turn this into a loophole factory, false starts, offsides, moving the ball forward, and the little details that never get called. That's not football purity. That's gameship on steroids. Until the league actually enforces the rules, the Eagles are going to keep stealing first downs, one illegal nudge at a time. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw. Steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off, get it hype. This man, our sport talk. Yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman, everybody bringing heat. You don't really wanna try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception?
Let's go. What is up, Man Hour Nation, guys? Welcome to Man Hour NFL Talk, your go-to spot for live, raw, uncut NFL talk. And I'm so glad you are rolling with us today. But before we jump in, guys, head over to manhourradio.com. That's where you can find the exclusive merchandise, the freshest of the fresh blogs, and everything that's happening with the show. So if you're rocking the Man Hour, guys, that is the spot to do it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the share button so you never miss a live interactive show. That's the easiest way to stay plugged into us, guys. We're currently live every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast time. But if you want the full Man Hour experience, if you want free entry into the NFL Pick'ems, if you want exclusive merchandise, if you want the bonus live stream that only the Pigskin Pundits, guys, become a Pigskin Pundit today. That is our members-only community. For $4.99 a month, guys, you get all that free access to whatever you want. The biggest thing is the NFL Pick'ems. Be like my man John. Be like Laura, Casey, Jim, John, Huffy. Be like those guys and become a Pigskin Pundit, guys. But remember, this is a live, interactive show. Drop your thoughts, drop your opinions, and drop your hottest of the talks below because I want to hear from you. But guys, before we get too great with today's show, we got to welcome some people into the chat. We got to welcome Old Man River. He says Chicago is playing good football. They should be in the top 10. Guys, somebody do a wellness check on Old Man River. Because the minute Old Man River said the Chicago Bears could beat the Kansas City Chiefs right now, I said, whoa, slow it down, baby. Old Man River, you have helped me write the Man Hour Bible. We know in chapter 6, verse 7, line 7, thou shalt not trust the Chicago Bears until December. And you're telling me that the Chicago Bears are a top 10 team right now? You need to slow it down, baby.
Pigskin pun. Get you some.
We got my man Alpha Rob in the chat as well. What's up, Alpha Rob? Hope you're doing a good old day, man. What's up? We got my man James Frank in the chat as well. James Frank got third in the week 4 NFL pick'ems, if I'm not mistaken. James, be sure to check your email tomorrow, probably around 9 a.m. East Coast time. We got to send out emails to Carson, James, and Rego, right? Those were our top 3 winners. So guys, get some prizes there. Bada bing, bada boom. And then Ray says, oh, look, the idiot is saying more idiotic. Shit. You know what? I got a load of idiotic shit to say today because we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles being a one and done in the playoffs. Yes, you heard it here first. And we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield's magic being done, over, finito. And guess what? There are 3 teams in the NFL that need to tank right now. That is the Houston Texans. That is the Tennessee Titans. And that is the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about all those. So Ray McMuffin. So stick around if you want to talk some more idiotic shit. But it is. Ray, who put sour milk in your cereal? Says James. Mellow Mike is up in the chat again today. He says, give it up to Delusional, the fanatic, the deluded Chiefs Cowboys homer. With all the hot takes flatter than hot cakes. Man, Mellow Mike, you should have been a rapper, man. All the flatter hot takes. Man, you put a hard beat and a snare on that, man. Billboard Top 100. Guaranteed, guys. But we do got a great story for a lot of today. So let's start off right there at the top. And let's talk about James Frank's team. And that is the one and only Cleveland Browns. Guys, because right now, the biggest question in the locker room in Cleveland is not about their defense. It isn't about the running game. It's about who should be starting quarterback moving forward. Guys, the Cleveland Browns are sitting right now at 1-3. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. And once again, on Sunday, the Browns offense was, how do we put this slightly, ugly. They sucked. They're terrible. 34-10 loss to the Detroit Lions, and Joe Flacco coughed up the ball 3 times. That brings his turnover total to 8 giveaways in just 4 games. Guys, this isn't a one-off bad performance. It has been a theme for a very, very long time. And as a result, the Browns sit at the NFL's second lowest scoring offense, just averaging 14 points per game. You cannot win football games in that way in today's NFL. Let's just be honest about it. Now, Kevin Stefanski said, hey, y'all need to slow it down, baby. He's doing what head coaches do. He won't throw his quarterback under the bus. He said, it's not just Joe Flacco. It's the drops. It's the protection. It's the coaching. It's everything but Joe Flacco. And honestly, he's not wrong. Against the Detroit Lions, Jerry Jeudy and Fanningham both had drops, back-to-back deep shots that could have flipped the momentum. Later, Raymond takes a 65-yard punt to the house, and it's game over. Through 4 games, Cleveland has 8 drops. 8. That's second most in the NFL. That is tough. And then there's the offensive line. This group has been passed together week after week after week, more than the Green Bay Packers. 4 different line combos in 4 games. Jones, done for the year. Conklin, still out. The backups, KT Livingston and Cornelius Lucas, are all ranked near the bottom of pass protection. And Aiden Hutchinson feasted on them all last Sunday. So yes, Kevin Stefanski is a little bit right. It's just not Joe Flacco, but here's the deal. Quarterbacks matter the most. Quarterbacks bring that momentum to the team. The quarterback can change the trajectory of every team moving forward. Joe Flacco isn't elevating anybody around him. He's not creating plays when protection breakdown. He's not putting receivers in position to succeed when confidence is already shaky from drops. That's the difference between surviving and winning. So then the question starts to become, do you ride with the veteran quarterback knowing exactly what he is at his age, over the hill, overbred, and dry behind the ears, or do you turn to a rookie like Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders? Guys, Dylan Gabriel has been holding the clipboard through the first 4 games, and he brings something different. Mobility, energy, and the unknown factor that can spark that offense. Look at Jackson Dart last week with the New York Giants. Sure, the rookie is going to make mistakes, but the Browns are already making plenty of those with Joe Flacco at the helm. At least with Dylan Gabriel, your defense gives something new to think about. So, guys, the question is it time to make a move? Is it time for the Cleveland Browns to move on from Joe Flacco? You do not bench Joe Flacco just because of the age. You bench him because the offense needs a jolt. He's not proving he is not providing you anything. Basically, Joe Flacco sucks right now. At the end of the day, he's 40. He's over the hill. There was no team out there that wanted him for a reason. Dylan Gabriel may not be your long-term answer, but right now he's the best chance the Bears had to get the offense unstuck. But what do you guys think? Should the Browns stick with Joe Flacco, or is it time to give Dylan Gabriel or even Shedeur Sanders a shot? Guys, subscribe, hit the like button. Remember, we're live Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast time right here at youtube.com/manhour. I would say TikTok, but we got banned from there again. Whatever. It is what it is. Now, this is a live, interactive show, so let's get down in the comments and let's discuss your thoughts. So first things first is... James says Baker Magic isn't over. Slow it down, baby. We're going to talk about a little bit of factor crap, James, so stay tuned. Shay said, dang, 1 win is from my Packers. That hurts. That is facts. The Green Bay Packers looked over the Cleveland Browns, but the Green Bay Packers are not good enough to be looking to pass Indy Butty, baby. But hey, it is what it is what it is. Hello, Electro Restoration says, hello, I'm sorry I couldn't make it for week 4 of the Packers and Cowboys, but I don't know what to say about the Cowboys game. Listen, man, ties are terrible. Ties are terrible, but welcome back, Electro Restorations. Glad you're here. James Frank says, start Gabriel now, damn it! My Flacco fever has been totally extinguished. Not that I expected him to beat the Lions, but man, Flacco is bad. Still love him for the 23 season, but take your seat, Joe Flacco. James Frank, you are absolutely correct. There are many people out there, Kevin Stefanski and John Harbaugh, are living off of what things used to be. I throw Harbaugh out there because he thinks the Ravens defense is still 2000 elite defense, right? Kevin is thinking that Joe Flacco is prime 2013 Joe Flacco ride. Now, it's just not it. Guys, yes, Joe Flacco had a great little run. What was it, 2-3 years ago now, when he came in and he rallied the Cleveland Browns, made it to the playoffs, right? But then they got absolutely destroyed in the playoffs. But you know what? They made it. Things were clicking, right? But then guess what? He went on to another team because he thought he could be a starter somewhere. Insert Indianapolis Colts. He got benched not once, not twice, but 3 times for Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. And he's like, oh, well, I think I can do well. I think I can do well somewhere. Insert Cleveland. He's 40 years old. He was retired 3 years ago, sitting on the couch, eating Cheetos off of his belly. And now you guys expect him to be great? James, weren't you the one that say flack around and find out? All offseason, flack around, find out. Flack around. Come on, baby. You're better than that. Start Dylan Gabriel or hell, even Shedeur Sanders right now. Hell, right now, go out there and go get Trey Lance. I don't care. Anybody but Joe Flacco. Have a quarterback competition. Dylan Gabriel, you get weeks 4 through 8. Shedeur Sanders, you get 8 through 12. After that, we'll see what happens. Mellow Mike says the Cleveland Browns, yes, the skid marks in the briefs. Not enough bleach to get the stains out of them drawers. That's 4 decades of stench. That is tough. That is tough. Mellow Mike, you want to know the quickest way to get underneath James Frank's skin? just reference Baker Mayfield as a Cleveland Brown a couple years ago. That is all you got to do. Once you do that, bada bing, bada boom, James might go to bed and like cry. He is going to go to bed and cry like, oh, I miss Baker Mayfield. James Franks, he's the only bright spot on that offense is Judkins. Yeah. That is tough. The rushing game, I mean, the running game isn't terrible, but when you don't have a quarterback, it makes it look square. It's just, yeah. But yeah, Judkins is the only thing that's doing well. Mellow Mike says Flacco is the first quarterback to throw a TD in a game while using a walker. That is tough. My man Carson Lang's in the chat. Mr. Second place of this week's NFL Pick'ems. Congratulations, Carson. He says quarterbacks can't elevate when they keep getting put on their backs. Put a quarterback in when your O-line is blank. You run the risk of ruining your young quarterbacks. So, Carson Lang, let me ask you this. Do you risk losing this whole season by playing Joe Flacco? Do you risk not knowing who your quarterback is going forward by playing Joe Flacco? Because let's just be honest. I was looking at the PFF stats for a team to make the playoffs this season. Guess what? The Browns have a 15% chance of making the playoffs. They have less than a 1% chance of winning the division. They have a less than 1% chance of winning a playoff game. So they're writing on the wall. They're not making a deep run. They're not even going to make the postseason. Hell, they'll be lucky to get 5 wins at this rate, like I told you guys back in June. So why not see what you have in Dylan Gabriel? Why not see what you have in old Shedeur Sanders? Why not do that stuff? Because James, you know this, right? You are a Browns fan. You watch the Browns play each and every week deep and methodically. Joe Flacco is not it. Get somebody else in there. DeMello Mike says Deshaun is ready. His massage parlor coupons have expired and he's ready to stink up once again. I would not sleep on Deshaun Watson. Mellow Mike, you are a Texans fan. You see Deshaun Watson at his peak. Deshaun Watson just needs a change of scenery. He needs to go to Miami. He needs to go to potentially Carolina, maybe back to Houston because CJ Stroud's not him. Let's just be honest, right? But the Deshaun should be ready. I don't know. It is what it is. Old Member says, move on. Flacco to the bottom. Try some youth. Let me ask you this, though, Old Man River. You as a older person, you are wise among your ears. You are here to give us some wisdom and guidance through all this tough turbulence and tides of tears. If you bench Joe Flacco, do you got to cut him? That is the question. If you bench Joe Flacco, do you got to cut him? Because I feel like if you bench him, you have to move him down to third string emergency type of quarterback, practice squad quarterback. Is he going to do that? That's the question. Alpha Rob says, give Gabriel a shot. What do the Browns have to lose? Just 13 more games. Electro Registration says, give the new guy a shot. I think we agree. Montana's in the chat today. What's up, Montana? He says, throw Gabriel in there. What's the worst that can happen? Shedeur Sanders shines. That's the worst thing that could happen. Like, what would be worse? So let's take this double-edged sword and slice it down the middle. You are cutting Joe Flacco off. You say, Joe Flacco, you are not the guy. First quarter of the season, you got us through that hard part of the season, whatever, yada, yada, yada. We played the Ravens. We played the Packers. We played the Lions. Let's move on. Let's move on. So then insert Dylan Gabriel. Let's say he is just not it. He's just as bad. Insert Shedeur Sanders. He all of a sudden starts playing well. What happens if the Cleveland front office all of a sudden sees Dylan Gabriel sucking and Shedeur Sanders being successful? Because wasn't it the general manager that said I was pressured into getting Shedeur Sanders? It was pressure. I don't want him here. Like, well, what happens if he starts to succeed and do well? Or do you just think that will never happen? Because Will Olsen said, you need to start Shedeur Sanders, Buck. They all need to start Shedeur Sanders. And listen, I honestly thought Shedeur Sanders was going to win the preseason battle, to be honest. I thought he was going to go out there and win the preseason battle because he was getting a lot of the reps. But I guess in preseason, when you get a lot of the reps, there's a reason, because you're not very good. I don't know. Mellow Mike says the Browns are worried about public pressure now. Pay the damn rookies and find out what you got. Play the damn rookies. I agree. Shay's like, bright spot for Junkins. One more felony away from being a bright spot. From the pen, he says. Ugh. Didn't that felony get dropped? I don't know. I don't follow felony cases unless they're Javavion Clownies, right? No, who is that Panthers Hardy? No, that's not him. It was the it's the Seattle Seahawks offensive lineman that strangled his girlfriend or wife, like unconscious. That's who need to, that's who the Browns need. Mellow Mike says the Browns going to trade for Russell Wilson because they don't have enough bad quarterbacks. That is tough. However, I do hear through the rumor mills over there on the old X machine, right? That Russell Wilson will be on, quote, trade bait going forward. So the Giants want to move on from Russell Wilson. Who in their right mind would keep him? I just don't know. Shay, found not guilty, so not worried about it. Yeah, he was definitely not found not guilty or no charge wasn't placed or whatever, right? Carson Slade says this season's already done for them. Get your old offensive line in order first. Offensive line is very, very key, right? Green Bay Packers fans, if you don't have a good offensive line, you get beat by the Cleveland Browns. If you don't have a good offensive line, you get 40-burgered by the Dallas Cowboys. You guys should have lost that game. Up 13-0, blocked PAT, take it to the house, 3-point swing, bada bing, bada boom. You should have lost that game. Let's just be honest. Packers are terrible. Shay says, agreed. Russ will be a Brown or a Bengal by the end of the season. I'm going to take it one step further. He's going to be a New Orleans Saints because the Browns are quarterback hell. Yes. The Bengals is where you go to get hurt, but the Saints is where you play halfway decent, but still get beat game after game after game. The Saints is where Russell Wilson might have a little bit of spark and say, I could play another couple years because I'm with the Saints. And then you just get shut down because the Saints are arguably the worst football team in the NFL. Mellow Mike says Cleveland is dyslexic and in a physical form. Everything is backwards and reversed. That is true. That is true. Deshaun that we saw in 2019 is still the South Beach massage parlor with Robert Kraft. Hey, Deshaun down to Miami makes me like us a lot of sense. So don't get it twisted. Alpha Rob says Sanders couldn't play good enough versus guys who are not in the league anymore. And he thinks he can play versus starting defense. He also wasn't playing with starters on the offense either. So give him that credit, right? Give him that credit. Give him that credit. Mellow Mike says committing to Shedeur Sanders while still married to Watson's contract. Of course they will. It's the Browns thing to do. Electro says, as a Cowboys fan, I expected to lose that game versus the Green Bay Packers. I got very confused after they blocked PAT. That is true. It was a good game, though. Very, very good game. But guys, who do you think? Who do you think the starter should be in Cleveland moving forward? Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders? We'll see. Moving on. And the Washington Commanders guys just dropped a tough one to the Atlanta Falcons, 34-27 over this last weekend. And when we talk about the Commanders, we need to be real. Guys, let's just be real about this. Now, it wasn't the fact that they were missing offensive starters that doomed them. No Jaden Daniels, no Scary Terry, no Noah Brown. Yes, all that hurts, right? All that hurts. But what really hurts the worst is their defense. Their defense could not get off the field. The defense couldn't stop the big plays. And if they don't clean it up fast, it's going to get really ugly, really quick in the nation's capital. So guys, when we talk about the Washington Commanders, we were talking about them as a Super Bowl. We were talking about them controlling the NFC East. We were talking to them about a 13, 14, 15 win this season. And right now, they are fool's gold more than the Green Bay Packers. They are arguably one of the worst teams in the NFC East. I bet you if they play head-to-head right now, the Giants beat them by 20-some-odd points. Armstrong said it plain and simple. We've got to figure out what we're doing and get it right ASAP. And guys, you know what? He is right. The Commanders are staring down a 6-week stretch against some of the best quarterbacks in football. Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Jake Browning. We can throw it in there, but whatever. It doesn't get very easy. And right now, Washington ranks dead last in explosive pass plays allowed. Meaning they're getting burned deep a lot. That's 15 yards or more that they've given up on 8 of them against Atlanta alone. Yes, Michael Penix Jr., that overrated son of a gun. And here's the real killer, guys. Motion. When teams motion to get the Washington Commanders, they melt down. No defense in the league has given up more big plays against motion than the Commanders. 6 of Atlanta's explosive plays came off of motion, and Michael Penix Jr. threw a career-high 313 yards. This is the same Falcons team that got shut out by the Carolina Panthers. The same Carolina Panthers team that lost 42-6 to the New England Patriots. Not very good. It's just not communication. It's breakdown in technique. It's eye discipline and being over aggressive. We saw it on Drake London play early. Reese points out the motion. Amos looks confused. 2 guys cover London. Kyle Pitts runs wide open for 26 yards. That's backyard football level stuff, not an NFL defense. And guess what? Marshawn Lattimore. You know, the man that's coming in to save the world. He even admitted that the defense is being way too aggressive at times. He bit on a route that gave up 43 yards to Drake London plus another holding call. That's 3 of the season already on him. Most in the league, a.k.a. he's having trouble keeping up with receivers. Understand that, Dan Quinn. Now, defensive coordinator Joe Wilt has a point. Coverage and pass rush goes hand in hand. They were top 4 in pressure percentage in the first 3 weeks, but when the coverage breaks down, pressure doesn't matter. When you can't sack a quarterback if he's throwing to wide open receivers in 2 seconds, it all doesn't matter. So where does this leave the Washington Commanders? Players are panicking. Quan Morton said it's only week 4. Yes. And last year they lost 3 in a row and then bounced back. Marshawn Lattimore says, look, they got talent in the room. They know they're good. But truth be told, they're old as balls. Talent doesn't matter if you can't execute. Until they fix their communication and stop giving up free runners off of motion, every team is going to pick on them. Guys, the Commanders can turn it around. Yes, but they need to simplify things on defense and hammer out the basics. Communication, eye discipline, and accountability. Until then, this defense isn't winning them games. It's going to lose them a lot more games. But what do you guys think? Can the Commanders fix these issues on defense and become the defense that they're supposed to be, or are they destined to be a liability all season long? Oh, and guess what? They are yet again the oldest NFL defense. Guys, subscribe, hit the like button. Remember, we're live Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. East Coast time, right here at youtube.com. This is a live interactive show, so comment down below. Let's get on the discussion. Mellow Mike says, I think Bernie Kosar still outplays all the Browns quarterbacks combined. That is tough. That's tough. And then Alpha Rob comes in with the shooting from the hip, always slight shade about Von Miller. And he said, I thought Von would put them over the edge. Alpha Rob, I don't know if many people realize that Von Miller signed with the Washington Commanders. I don't think many people thought that Von Miller or knows that Von Miller was brought in to be that, quote, physical dominance on third down. Show of hands in the chat. Did you guys know that Von Miller played for the Washington Commanders? Did you guys know that Von Miller was out there supposed to be the man, the myth, the legend? Did you guys know Von Miller even come back from an injury? Oh, no, you didn't. Definitely didn't think he was. That is the most sarcastic thing I've heard all night, Alpha Rob. That is tough. Mellow Mike says, Dan Quinn having issues with defense? Kingsbury's figured out in year 2? I'm shocked. Now, in their defense, the Commanders' defense has been without Jaden Daniels since second half of week 2, right? Scary Terry is out. Noah is out as well, right? They're having some injury issues here early in the season. But yes, Cliff Kingsbury offense has probably been figured out. Dan Quinn is probably defense. I mean, granted, he's not calling the defensive plays, but it's a Dan Quinn defense. Let's just be honest. having issues with his defense. Imagine that. This is why Dan Quinn is a bad coach in my opinion. When all eyes are on his team, whether he's the head coach, whether he's a defensive coach, whether he's some type of advisor upstairs, when all eyes are on his team, he crumbles. Look when he was a defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. They were great against teams that were below 500, right? But the minute the light starts to shine a little bit bright, get blown out by 40, get blown out by 50. Hell, look at the Green Bay Packers game the first time the Packers came down to AT&T Stadium with the Jordan Love. They played zone defense all season long. All of a sudden, for the Green Bay Packers, you're going to play man? After you've been successful all season long, 13, 14 win season. They were 13-4, right? Winning the division, having a whole playoff game versus the 7th seed Green Bay Packers. They come in and they whoop that ass because Dan Quinn trembled like a $2 whore. Cliff Kingsbury, it's so overhyped. And Electro Restoration is like, wait, Von Miller's still around? Yes. He actually signed a pretty lucrative deal with the Washington Commanders, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 2-year, like $50 million, $45 million deal. He got paid pretty well to come to Washington. The only thing he's doing in Washington right now is making them an averaging of a 36-year-old team instead of averaging a 35-and-a-half-year-old team. He is adding age to that defense over and over and over. And it is tough watching the Washington Commanders right now. Miller Mike says, yes, Von Miller brought his old washed up blank to the Washington to give another sucker to give him millions of dollars. Suckers! Hey, Miller Mike, don't dog Alpha Rob. Alpha Rob was very, very hyped when Von Miller came to the Buffalo Bills. He quickly jumped off that train, jumped off the ledge and say, Von Miller sucks. Von Miller has not been the same person since he got hurt. I 100% agree. 100% agree on that 100%. But guys, let's talk about Michael Penix Jr. Because if you are ready to write this kid off after a week 3 disaster against the Carolina Panthers, you might want to pump the brakes and slow it down, baby. Because just 1 week ago, actually 2 weeks ago now, Penix Jr. had one of the worst games of his career. 2 interceptions, including a pick 6, a QBR 12.5, second worst of the week, and the Falcons got shut out 30-0 by the division rival and arguably the worst team in the NFC or in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. This was their biggest loss in a decade, and it was so bad that the Falcons fired wide receiver coach Ike Illard on the spot and moved offensive coordinator Zach Robinson down to the sideline. This was a panic move that I've never seen one before. And with Kirk Cousins making $27.5 million just sitting there holding a clipboard, people were asking the question, is this kid really the future? Should we be in a backup quarterback competition? Should we be putting Kirk Cousins in there? Is Michael Penix Jr. really our guy? Whatever. But here's the thing. Raheem Morris never blinked. He saw something that day that after that blowout loss. When Penix walked into the meeting room, there was no moping. There was no excuses. There was no finger pointing. He stood up. He took ownership, talked to his unit, and got right back to work. That told Raheem Morris all he needed to know. And then on Sunday against the Washington Commanders, Penix backed it up. Career high, 313 yards, 20 for 26 passing, 2 touchdowns, finally connecting with Drake London and Kyle Pitts Sr. for scores. Third best QBR of the week of 90.5. That's just not a bounce back, guys. That is a statement bounce back. And what stood out the most? The fourth quarter. Falcons were up 31-24. Game on the line. Penix converts 3 straight third downs, scrambles for 5, a laser to Pitts for 22 yards, and then a 9-yard dart to Drake London. That drive ended in a field goal, going up 34-24 and basically sealing the win. That's a big-time quarterback play. That's poise. That's leadership. That is a franchise quarterback. And You can feel the energy from his teammates. Drake London called him the gamer. B. John Robertson said, this is the offense keeps clicking like that. They can be unstoppable. Robertson went for a career high himself for 181 yards from scrimmage and now leads the league in that category. For the first time all season, guys, the Falcons running game and passing game both clicked at the same time. And at the center of it was Michael Penix Jr. Now look, Raheem Morris was right. This kid has the tools. Quick release, accuracy, ability to process, the arm to push it down the field, and now he's showcasing resilience as well. A 30-point shutout one week, a career day the next. That is how you prove you belong in the NFL. Guys, Michael Penix Jr. is the Falcons franchise quarterback, period. It showed it on Sunday. The talent is there, the leadership is there, and now the confidence is there as well. He's not perfect, but he belongs, and that's all the Atlanta Falcons needs. But I got to ask you guys this question. Did Michael Penix Jr. silence all the doubters, or do we still need to see more from him before we buy into him as the face of the Atlanta Falcons for many, many years to come? Guys, subscribe, hit the like button. Remember, we're live Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast time right here at youtube.com/manout. Now, this is a live interactive show, so comment down below and let's discuss your thoughts. Alpha Rob is like, whoa. I thought Lamar Jackson was king of the QBR. Lamar Jackson is very, very good at padding stats. Lamar Jackson is very, very good at being the guy, the man, the myth, the legend until adversity strikes and he gets injured. Michael Penix Jr. is now taking over that spot. Reese said the Niners can win. Can never have a healthy season. I should say. Reese, you are not wrong, man. You are not wrong at all. Matter of fact, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we talk about the biggest what if in the NFL just a couple weeks ago in 49ers? 49ers, the biggest what if. Now the biggest what if is if Michael Penix Jr. can carry this momentum from last week into week 5, into week 6, into week 7, and week 8. Then we might have another eyes on another prize over there. Lamar Jackson, your old news. Josh Allen, your old news. Patrick Mahomes, your old news. Hello there, Michael Penix Jr. The best quarterback in the NFC South. Over Baker Mayfield. Over whoever the Saints quarterback is. Spencer Rattler. Bryce Young. Get out of here. This is my division. West Philly Black says Eagles are still undefeated and will repeat as Super Bowl champions. West Philly back. Down there at the very bottom, there is a segment called Factor Crap. That is the final segment of the day, and we are going to tell you how much you are wrong about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to tell you that the Philadelphia Eagles will be a one and done. But got to stick around. Maybe not. I don't know. Spoiler alert, right? Mellow Mike says Falcons yawn. Going to choke on Tampa Bay's creamsicle and miss the playoffs yet again. Let me ask you guys this question legitimately. Mellow Mike, Alpha Rob, Reese, West Philly Black, rest of the people that are in the chat. Do the Falcons have to make the playoffs this season for Raheem Morris to keep his job? Because honestly, back in, was it May? We kind of did the coaching hot seat, right? I said Mike McDaniels has to win. I said Harbaugh from the Baltimore Ravens has to win this season. Hell, who else did we put on there? Obviously, Brian Daboll was like one of them. Like as well. I think those are the 4 that we put on there. But insert Raheem Morris as well, because honestly, the Falcons have been kind of a joke of a franchise for the last couple seasons. They collude to get a 37-year-old Kirk Cousins down there, bench him after 13 games last season, bench him now. Kyle Pitts has kind of been called a bust. Trade the man, get him out of town, right? Drake London who, right? When we talk about top 15 receivers in the NFL, never mention Drake London's name. B. John Robinson has been the only bright spot on the Atlanta Falcons team in general. So do the Falcons have to win this season? That's the question. But Alpha Rob says, whoa, slow down. The Falcons are a couple years away. But is the ownership in Atlanta patient enough to be a couple years away? Because if you're a couple years away, that puts Penix in his 4th year. He's a second-year player now, fourth year. I believe he was a first-round pick, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he will have 5 years on his rookie deal. So if they're a couple years away, say they're 3 years away from really being a good, great team. Now all of a sudden, Drake London's on his 2nd contract. Kyle Pitts is on his 2nd contract. Bijan Robinson is already on his 2nd deal. And you know those guys are going to want money. Those guys are going to get those dollar bills, y'all. And then we're in the San Francisco 49ers situation all over again. They got to win now. Electro-Illustration says, now we coming for the Eagles. We almost had you out. Meaning the Dallas Cowboys. I just slow down, baby. But hey, nobody else wants it. Wants what? The NFC South? Or just Raheem Morris? Alvaro says no. But win 8 or 9 games will be a good season for them, meaning the Atlanta Falcons. When we look at the Atlanta Falcons schedule moving forward, guys, they should 100% win more than 8 games. If they play and perform like they did against the Washington Commanders, they're sitting at 2-2 right now here on the season. They play the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football in a couple weeks, right? They're on their bye week. They're going to play Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills, and then they play the 49ers. Toss-up game, Sunday Night Football, right, at Kettle Light Stadium or Levi Strauss Stadium. But then they play the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Panthers, the Saints, the Jets, and the Saints. So those are 6 easy wins they should win. So, yeah, 8 or 9 is probably right where they should be, honestly. And 9 wins might get you into the NFC playoffs. Let's just be honest about that. So, sheesh. Mellow Mike says, Arthur Blank hands me a blank check. I'll bring back the old dirty birds of old. Do it, baby. DMV or whatever it was, right? Because you had Mike Vick, Warwick Dunn, and who was the fullback? I can't remember who the fullback was, the other running back. But yeah, it was great. But you know what else is great? DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. You guys know what else is on top of the AFC? Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. You know who is leading the AFC North? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Because the guys, we have just witnessed the official rival of Aaron Rodgers and the DK Metcalf connection, baby. Steelers fans have been waiting for this since the offseason. We've seen flashes of it. We've seen a big play here. We've seen a big play there. But nothing has screamed game changer. That all changed overseas in Germany on Sunday. 2nd quarter, Aaron Rodgers drops back. Hits DK Metcalf on a post route right inside, and DK Metcalf takes it 80 yards to the house, baby. Not just a touchdown. It was the longest touchdown from scrimmage in international game history, according to Next Gen Stats. Metcalf hit 21.2 miles an hour on the run. That's just not fast. That's fast. That is Ferrari fast. That is, let me jump out my Ford Ranger and Ranger Danger fast, baby. DK Metcalf finished with 5 catches on 5 targets and 126 yards and a touchdown. 4 of those came in the first half, where he put up 122 yards. The best half of football his entire career. 7 years in the league, and he just had one of the most dominant 30 minutes in a Steelers uniform. That's just not a breakout game. That is sending a message to the rest of the NFL. This duo is the real deal. You better shut them down early and often, or they're going to do this. Now, you don't pull up plays without help like that, right? Calvin Austin threw a key downfield, and Metcalf himself gave credit to the offensive line and even the defense for giving him opportunities. That's exactly the point. This wasn't just a DK being DK. This was a team effort finally clicking. Guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers are finally clicking. And let's give credit where credit is due. Aaron freaking Rodgers. This guy is locked in and throwing over the middle of the field. The first 2 weeks, he's averaging under 7 yards per attempt in that area. The last 2 weeks, he's completed 17 of 21 for 10 yards per attempt. That's efficiency. That's trust. And that's how you unlock DK Metcalf. Oh, and while the spotlight's on DK, do not forget about Kenneth Gainwell. With Jalen Warren's sideline, Gainwell stepped up and rushed for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns, and another 35-yard receiving. That's balance. That's the kind of 1-2 punch that Pittsburgh has been desperate for. Establish a run so Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf can bombs away. Mike Tomlin even said it himself. We didn't go get DK not to get him the ball. And finally, the Steelers showed what they look like. A balanced attack, a quarterback in rhythm, and a superstar wideout who looked every bit like an all-pro weapon that he used to be. And oh, by the way, the defense stepped up as well. Guys, this is a recipe. Aaron Rodgers plus Metcalf plus a ground game. You don't need to overthink offensive identity if you can protect Aaron Rodgers, keep DK Metcalf fed, and run the ball efficiently. The Steelers can going to win. They are going to win a lot of games. They're going to win the AFC North. They're going to win several playoff games, and they might go to the AFC or go to the Super Bowl. But what do you guys think? Did we just watch the birth of Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf era in Pittsburgh? Or is this just a one game in a long season? Guys, subscribe, hit the like button. Remember, live Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast time right here at youtube.com/manhour. Now, this is a live interactive show, so comment down below. I want to hear what you guys think. Electro. Slow it down, baby. Old man Rodgers and them will fall. Mike, my words, yo. He says, let me spell it out there, guys, for people that don't know electro restorations is saying. He's basically saying, look, Aaron Rodgers is 40-some odd years old. He says, look, DK Metcalf is kind of overrated. Let's just be honest. They played a not so good Minnesota Vikings team. They played a not so good overseas opponent. They are playing above their competition, which is great, but their competition sucks right now. That means the Steelers are not playing down. They're playing what they got to do. However, the Steelers play a tougher schedule toward the end of the season. Right now, they got a pretty much of a cakewalk. Let's just be honest. When you play the Minnesota Vikings, that's a guaranteed win. When you play the New England Patriots, that's pretty much a guaranteed win. When you play the New York Football Jets, that's pretty much a guaranteed win. And oh, by the way, they play the Browns, the Bengals again, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Browns and the Ravens to end the season. There's a lot of wins coming up on their schedule. Now, they do play the Buffalo Bills. Let's not get it twisted. They do play the Detroit Lions. Let's not get it twisted. And yes, the Ravens will still kind of bounce back a little bit. But listen, this is a 12-13 win team based on their easy-ass schedule. And oh, by the way, they play the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Another easy dub because the Packers are overrated. But Mellow Mike says, new flash, the Bird Lady ain't the only one crooked in Atlanta. Blank been collecting season tickets payments for nothing since Jamal Anderson and Dan Leaves left. That's tough, but true. Rob says, fuck. Slow it down, baby. Slow it down, baby. Listen, Alpha Rob saying, yes, Buck, you are correct. They are going to probably win the AFC North. Yes, Buck, they're probably going to win a playoff game. But Super Bowl? We talking about Super Bowl? You need to slow it down, baby, because that is not going to happen. And Milo Mike says, Steelers, wake up. Realize they were all on bad mushroom trip, and Rodgers is hurt again, and somehow the Bengals without Joe Burrow snuck past him and snatched a division and a playoff spot. All because the Bengals go out there and get Russell Wilson. that would shake up the NFL landscape. That would so make me mad. So make me mad. Alpha Rob says they can't beat the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo because the Rodgers Mac of mobility. Good thing for them that they wouldn't have to play the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills. Because I think the Chiefs will so let's start off at the top here, right? I think the Buffalo Bills will win the division or be the number 1 seed. I think the Chargers will probably be the number 2 seed. The Chargers still playing good football. Maybe the Steelers. Let's throw the Steelers up there, right? Number 2. Number 3, the Chargers. And then number 4 will probably be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're playing pretty good football right now. The 5th seed will be the Chiefs. And then you got maybe the Colts. 7th seed doesn't really matter. Whatever, yada, yada, yada. I think the Chiefs lose in the wild card game. I think the Buffalo Bills will then play whoever was the lower seed. So it'll be the Chargers, be the Colts, be the Jaguars, whoever, right? And then y'all are going to lose the Colts. It's going to be a Colts-Steelers matchup. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. 313 Kurt says Kirby Joseph is Aaron Rodgers' father. When did the Lions play? The week of Christmas. We will see if a Kirby Joseph is in fact Aaron Rodgers' father. Just tune in, guys, next time to see the DNA results. But guys, it is time for a little thing we like to call Overreaction Tuesday. All right, guys, so it is time for Overreaction Tuesday. And those who have not seen this segment before, let me break it down for you. Here's the deal. I'm going to throw some hot takes, some bold statements, and intense reaction to something going on and around the NFL world. And it is up for us to decide. Is it an overreaction or is Buck actually spot on? If you think it's an overreaction, call it out. Say, hey, whoa, slow it down, baby. That's a little bit too much. It's all about dialing it back, seeing things with a little bit more perspective. But if you think it's actually legit and we're going to roll with it, we'll see what you know what, Buck? That's not an overreaction. And that's reality, and here's why. So, guys, we're going to throw out some of the big takes and see if we're jumping on the gun or if the hype is real. Let's be ready to dive in and see what we're reacting over to today. All right, guys, so welcome back to Overreaction Tuesday, and I have a hot question for you guys. I have a hot question, and potentially am I overreacting or do we need to slow it down a little bit? Because right now, after the first 4 games of the NFL season, the Houston Texans are sitting at 1-3. Their lone win coming from arguably the worst team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans. So, guys, the question is this. Should the Texans tank the rest of the season? Ooh, Mellow Mike, how do you feel about that? Guys, when we see projections, when we see chances, and we see this and this and this, guys, the Texans right now have a less than 1% chance of making the Super Bowl. According to playoff status, Houston's postseason probabilities are minimum. Meanwhile, reports are saying that they even have an 8% shots of even making the divisional playoffs. And they even a less than 5% shot of winning the division. Those are brutal odds. If you are a fan, you're thinking, what's the point of fighting it out in the house of odds are against you? That's the heart versus the tank fight, right? That is the debate that we're talking about. But before we throw in the jersey into the trash, let's break it down a little bit here, right? Because yes, if your chances of a deep run or even a playoff are nearly zero, you risk burning out your roster, exposing weaknesses further, and enduring the morale. The Houston Texans need a good offseason. They need a good rebuild or a retool, right? Because if you battle for the playoffs and you miss the playoffs, you are losing potentially better draft picks. The more picks you have early, the better chances of building a long-term winner if the season is mostly likely thrown away. Those picks might matter more than a few extra wins this season because let's just be honest, the Texans have a pretty tough schedule. Let the backups, let the rookies, let the second-year players get some meaningful reps. See who is usable for 2026. Do not waste development opportunities. And why wish your core guys when the upside is minimal? AKA CJ Johnson. Injuries late in the season and a lost season can hurt the window more than next season. Now, I get it. Houston hasn't invested a lot into their young core. I understand the fans, the ownership, the media expect the growth not to surrender. Tanking can sour faith, reputation, and the hiring momentum. Now, the AFC South is volatile. Even with the mediocre record, sometimes a divisional winner who shows up might still sneak it in, a.k.a. 7-8 wins might win the division still this season. However, teams that embrace giving up often lose swagger, buy-in, and faith. Building a losing culture is dangerous. Football is a very variant heavy sport. A few bounces, 1 or 2 close wins, and you're back into the mix. Abandoning now gives up all that possibility. The contract, the coaching structure, and the cap investment are all there. Sometimes fighting perspective, opinions for trades, flexibility, and division making later in the year. Now, given how these postseason and Super Bowl odds are, I get why tank is tempting for the Houston Texans. But I do not think that the Houston Texans should fully tank yet. I walk the line very finely. I'm going to waffle around. But the truth of the matter is, guys, the Houston Texans have been overachieving for the last 2 seasons. Since C.J. Stroud was drafted into the Houston Texans, they have been overachieving. If the Colts running back catches the ball in a C.J. Stroud's rookie year, they don't make the playoffs. If Anthony Richardson doesn't tap out against the Houston Texans last year, they don't make the playoffs. Guys, the truth of the matter is the Houston Texans are not very good. The truth of the matter is they are building a house on a stick platform. Now, should they tank? No. Should C.J. Stroud, be deemed a bust? No. But DeMeco Ryans and the whole coaching situation needs to be evaluated because their evaluation of talent right now is very, very bad. But what do you guys think? Are the Texans better off quitting now and taking for the draft, or is it too early and still value in fighting? I ask you guys that question. Montana says, a tank for who? Arch Manning, duh. No, honestly, if the Texans were to tank, it would be for offensive linemen. Their offensive linemen are terrible. They trade away the goat and the horse and the cow for these offensive linemen that were supposed to make the difference. They're worse than they were last season. They traded a second round offense of lineman to the Philadelphia Eagles for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Cut his ass. Guys, the Houston Texans are a sinking ship. And right now they're trying to bucket off water, but it is going down, down, down. And Alpha Rob says Texans need a quarterback. I don't know. C.J. Stroud seems to be pliable, but he now, obviously, I was a very hard on C.J. Stroud last year when he got when he was on film crying after Tank Dell broke his leg. Like he just lost, like he is walking around crying like he just lost his best friend and would never see him again. Ever since that point, was at Christmas Day, C.J. Stroud has not been the same quarterback. It almost like he's playing with fear. He's afraid to get hurt. And like when you are afraid to get hurt, when you start playing with fear, that's when you kind of got exposed a little bit. Well, Mike says Buck getting hot takes from the raging hot boxing. Colts are flukes. Jaguars choke more than a $2 corner with a gag reflex, and the Texans win the crappy division. Pause. Mellow Mike, weren't you here yesterday when we said the Jaguars have arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL? They are the only team with multiple takeaways the first 4 weeks of the NFL season ever. The Jaguars defense is no fluke. The Colts defense is a little bit of fluke, a little bit of fool's gold, but they got Denny Dimes, baby. They got Indiana Jones doing his thing. They were injured a little bit last week. They got exposed a little bit last week, but you know what? The Texans are the biggest choke artists of them all. Even if the Texans make it to the playoffs somehow, some way, they're going to get blown out by the Baltimore Ravens yet again. Like, why not? Just keep the tradition up. Montana's like, this is a terrible draft class. To be determined, right? To be determined. I mean, like, obviously, I don't watch a lot of college football. College football is not my thing, and I don't really start diving into the draft prospects till about February-ish, and then I start seeing who people have, and I start doing my research on them. But Montana, you obviously know college football a hell of a lot more than I do. You love some college football, and if you're saying it is a terrible class, I have to take your word for it. 313 Kurt says the biggest need is the offensive line. Yeah, their offensive line is terrible. Texans have the worst offensive line of all of football. Mellow Mike, you guys spent all offseason building up this great offensive line, and you're worse now than you were before. That is tough. That is tough. Shay says tank and get skilled players. But I agree with Montana. Who out there is worth tanking for at the moment? Arch Manning, baby. I don't know. No, honestly, I don't know. Any offensive lineman from the Ohio State at this particular point is probably who they're going to tank for. Whether it's a left tackle, right, just the best offensive lineman from Ohio State, that is who they're tanking for. Because Ohio State is lineman U. Let's just be honest. Shay says Texans got a quarterback and a solid defense. Now slow it down and CJ Stroud just being bad. Shay, what part of the Houston Texans defense is screaming dominant right now? Is it Danielle Hunter? He's not terrible, but his stats, when I watch him, he never jumps off the film at me anyways, but he is not doing very, very good. Will Anderson Jr., not very good right now. Who else do they got? Derek Singletary, didn't he just give up the touchdown pass to the Buccaneers to like lose that game? Who that's got? They got Alshire, pretty much over the hill. Nobody on the Houston Texans defense right now scares me. Not at all. Send them to other teams. Well, Mike says, what, we overachieved? No. The rest of the division just sucks. It ain't our fault. True. However, Mellow Mike, let's flash back to last season. When I said the Denver Broncos shouldn't make the playoffs because all they're doing is hurting their draft capital. What are they now? They're an average team. Chargers, same. I mean, the Chargers are a little bit different, but they shouldn't have made the playoffs either. But it is what it is. Mellow Mike says, Buck, he's afraid. Watch the hits he took last week and he gets up. Well, just because you are taking hits doesn't mean you are afraid. He is taking hits because he is afraid. He's afraid to get outside the pocket. CJ Stroud is a wounded dog right now, and he's limping home. He's getting ready to call his mommy. Mommy, come help me. It's getting a little tough here. Come save me. Just man up, buddy. Man up. Alpha Rob says, other words, the coach needs to slap him and tell him to wake up. Same thing with the coach. Wake up, buddy. What? Guess what? Mellow Mike says, Texans have allowed fewest points in the NFL through the first 4 games of the 5th lowest points in NFL history. We got Dilver than this baby. Texans defense sucks. Stats are lying to you. And oh, by the way, stats are lying to you. Shay says, Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter are fine, not good. Not great, but fine. You cannot be in an elite defense with fine defensive players. You need great defensive players. You need elite defensive players. 42-17 says Shay Fryer, or it says Montana. What are you guys talking about? Ohio State still haunts me. Oh, the Tennessee game. Ohio State, Tennessee game. So Shay is a Tennessee fan. Montana, you're an IU fan, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, when Tennessee loses, you can talk shit because Tennessee sucks. Montana says, you open that can of worms, bring it up Andrew Luck, Shay. Ugh. Andrew Smuck. I love it. So, guys, the next team that should be tanking right now is arguably one of the worst teams in the NFL. No, let's give them credit. They got to win, Buck. They got to win. And they beat the Kansas City Chiefs Christmas Day 3 years ago, and they're still the face of the NFL. Whatever, guys. So, guys, should the Las Vegas Raiders tank the rest of the season? Guys, right now they have 11% chance to make the playoffs. They have 1% chance to win the AFC West. They have less than a 1% chance of making the playoffs. They have less than a 1% chance of making the Super Bowl. That's not exactly a recipe for optimism if you're a Raiders fan. So the big question is, guys, should the Raiders just tank the rest of the season? Guys, let's just be honest. The Raiders can tank, and they'll end up being a 9-win team. If the Raiders try to win, they'll be a 2-win team. Guys, 11% is not zero. They are better positioned than the Houston Texans are at their particular moment to make the playoffs. if a few games swing their way, they can be in the wild card mix. Antonio, or not Antonio Pierce. I was going to say Antonio Pierce. Coach, can't think of his name right now. Yeah, old man has been hammering identity and toughness since he took over the head coaching job in Vegas. Tanking undercuts that, right? If he's a coach for your future, he can't send the locker room message given and unacceptable. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Pete Carroll, thank you. This is Las Vegas. The pressure is to be competitive. Win a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Guys, honestly, while the playoff odds are not promising for the Las Vegas Raiders, the Raiders cannot afford a tank right now. Let's just be honest. They have just enough talent to be competitive. They have just enough talent to be a 7-win team. They have just enough talent to get a mid-quarterback pick that they reached for in the first round, a.k.a. Arch Manning. Now, if we hit week 12, week 13, we're talking about a completely different race. Sure, shift the focus, give the run guys more reps, position yourself for draft capital, but right now the Raiders need to fight. They need a fight so they can get 6 wins, they can potentially beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and everything will be great. But guys, what do you guys think? Should the Raiders tank? Yes. It's time for Factor Crap. Carroll doesn't have time to tank. Not wrong. That's not the music that I wanted, but guys, but it's time. We're winding down the show. We're winding down the show, but we're not quite done quite. Now it's time for our final segment, thing like to call Factor Crap. Here's the deal. We're going to throw out some statements, throw out some facts that are floating around the NFL world. It's up to decide if it's a solid fact or if it's a whole lot of crap. We're going to separate the truth from the nonsense, cut through the hype, and see what's really worth believing. If it's legit, we all about it. If it's pure garbage, we're calling it out just like this music. Who put this music on my soundboard? But again, guys, grab your popcorn because it's about to get real, because it's time for fact or a whole lot of crap. All right, guys, so here we go. It is time for Factor Crap. And today's hot statement, guys, is Factor Crap, guys. Will the Philadelphia Eagles be a one and done in the playoffs? Now, there are a lot of warning signs in Philadelphia land right now. Let's start with the concerns because they are real. Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys, the Philadelphia Eagles nearly collapsed after a holding 24-3 lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, the Buccaneers did crawl back thanks to 2 monster touchdown passes from Baker freaking Mayfield, 77 yards and a 72-yarder. But those were the 2 longest plays the Eagles have given up since Vic Fangio took over the defensive coordinator. That's not a good look. Let's just be honest. The offense didn't help either. Philadelphia had 5 3-and-outs in the second half, completely stalling out while the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made it a game. Jalen Hurts was a tale of 2 halves as well. In the first half, he shredded the blitz. 8 for 9, 56 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the blitz. But in the second half, 0 for 8. 0 for 8. He flatlined. When the Bucs turned up the heat, Jalen Hurts folded. That's the kind of inconsistency at quarterback that's something that will doom you in January. Now, the injuries are starting to pile up as well. Because when we talk about health, because there's another storyline. The Eagles just lost defensive end Ogbagu, I'm not even going to say his name, to a tricep injury. He is likely heading to the IR. And they already had Nolan Smith on IR as well. That's 2 key pass rushers down. Depth is being tested. When this defense relies on pressure, when guys like Orawako and Smith are missing, it forces their backups like Jalen Hunt, Josh Uke, and Patrick Johnson to step up into bigger roles. They got talent, but they don't have the same juice as a top guy. But then there's the other side of the coin. Even with the flaws, this is still one of the most talented rosters in football. Vic Fangio's scheme has proven it can keep Philly at or near the top of all defensive rankings year in and year out. The offense has playmakers everywhere. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. And Hurts, even with the hiccups, is still one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league when he is on his game. And remember, they are still undefeated. The problems we're pointing to at showing up while it's still winning games. That's mark of a contender that can adjust and improve before the postseason. But remember, the last time the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl, started 11-0, lost in the wild card. But guys, Factor Crap. Are the Eagles a one and done in this year's playoffs? Guys, I have to say crap. Yes, they got issues. They have big plays allowed, inconsistency on offense, injuries stacking up, but this team is too deep, too experienced, and too well coached to be bowed down immediately in January. They'll win at least one playoff game, and if they get healthier, they'll still be right there in the NFC mix. But what do you guys think? Fact or crap? Are the Eagles built to survive in January, or will the Falls finally catch up to them in the first round? Comment down below with your take. And remember, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're live Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast time right here at Man Hour, or youtube.com/Man Hour. Now, this is a live interactive show. Let's get down to it. Mellow Mike says, Buck, I'm going to be here when Mahomes gets locked down week 14. Chiefs versus Texans. We'll see about that. Shea says, let me clear my throat. Let me clear my throat and let me get my megaphone out and I say,
Crap, Buck. It's a whole lot of crap.
Shea, you're not wrong, buddy. You are not wrong. Because when you look at the NFC, they are very, very top loaded. You got the Lions. You got the Eagles. We used to have the Commanders. But beyond the Eagles and the Lions, who do you really got? Are you putting stock in the 49ers to upset them? Are you putting stock in the Rams to upset them? Are you putting stock into the Packers to upset them? Are you putting stock into the Dallas Cowboys to upset them? Are you putting stock into somebody else? The NFC is Eagles and Lions up here, everybody else. That does not scream a first-round exit to me. Yes, the Buccaneers own the Eagles in the playoffs. Yes, the Eagles have been known to overlook opponents in the playoffs. But let's just be honest. He says, cannot count out the likes of Jalen and Shaquan. A.J. Brown may be a cancer that needs to be taken care of. Won't be one and done. But won't win in the divisional round either. So basically, Shea is saying, hey, they are not going to get the first overall seed. They will win a wild card game, but they're not going to go past the divisional round. Shea, if they get the number one overall seed, which all indications point that they will get the number one overall seed, they will lose in the divisional round. That is classified as a one and done. Ask the Detroit Lions from last year. Too soon? But facts are facts. There will be a one and done. Electro Restoration says, I'm going to be here when the Cowboys beat the Eagles. Be here, baby. Be here. Matt, be here every day, Electro Restoration. And Shay says the Packers are going to beat them. Good Lord. Shay, weren't you here yesterday when I said the Green Bay Packers won't even make the playoffs at this rate? Didn't I tell you that the Green Bay Packers were not even going to make the playoffs at this rate, Shay? So to say the Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs, go to your room, turn around, go to the corner, and think about what you just said. It's a false statement. But Montana says, whoa, slow it down, baby. The Rams will win the NFC. Yes, the Rams will win the NFC West, Montana. Yes, the Rams will make a mockery of the NFC West. Yes, right now we're sitting at what? We have, is it 3 teams sitting at 3-1 in the NFC West right now? And then the Arizona Cardinals are 2-2. People are saying the NFC West is the best division in football. And fool's gold, baby. Fool's gold. But yes, I do like the Rams because actually Montana, the Rams were my Super Bowl pick this year. So I do agree with you on that. Let's hit the ball again, baby. The pack is back. Bye week is going to get us right into the bottom of the division, right back in mainstream news because of you guys are going to get some felonies happening. Jordan Love is going to punch his baby mama. Josh Jacobs is going to go on a banana boat. Just come on now. Come on. You need to slow it down, baby. But guys, the Buccaneers almost pulled off yet another comeback. Almost pulled off another comeback. It was a story out of mixed mistakes and flashes of brilliance. The defense gave up 2 shovel passes to the Dallas Goedert and then allowed a block punt return for a touchdown. The second block punt they have allowed this season. And then add to that, Bucky Irvin fumbled a first quarter interception from Baker Mayfield as well. And the Tampa Bay was in a hole early. But Mayfield didn't go down without a fight. He delivered a 77-yard strike to rookie Ibuka from the Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. Keeps plays alive with his legs and once again showed that he is competitive fire late in the games. Even in a loss, he is still battling. But right now, guys, we got to ask the question. Fact or crap? Is Baker Mayfield late season game or late game magic done? What's working right now for Baker Mayfield is his mobility and his leadership. The scramble against the Philadelphia Eagles where he dodged defenders and somehow moved the chains was vintage Baker Mayfield. And his deep ball is still connecting, especially with Ibuka. He was also active this week despite dealing with a bicep injury, showing his toughness and ability and availability. But the problems are glaring as well. The turnovers are killers, and the second half offense keeps stalling. Special teams have been a disaster with block kicks and shanked punts costing them points. And Mayfield's inconsistency from one half to the next has raised real questions about whether this magic can last through a full season. So, guys, here's the question. Is the Baker Mayfield magic done? Fact or crap? Guys, this is 100% crap. The magic isn't done. Yes, mistakes are piling up. Yes, the shine isn't as bright as it was last season, but the toughness, the scrambling, and the ability to make big plays is still there. Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL for a reason. Baker Mayfield might win the MVP this year for that reason. Guys, Baker Mayfield is the man, the myth, the legend. Ever since Baker Mayfield walked up to the Kansas Jayhawks, jacked off in their faces, he has been a shrine above my mantle for the last 20 some odd years. Guys, Baker Mayfield is him. Baker Mayfield is that guy. He will have the late game magic here on out. He will be the late game guy. I can't remember who, is it Tom Brady that has the most fourth quarter comeback wins ever or something like that? Baker Mayfield is about to take that crown and put it firmly on his head because Baker Mayfield is him. But what do you guys think? Fact or crap? Is Baker's run of magic over or does he still have more to prove this season? Comment down below and let's talk about it. Shay says, crap. Baker got that dog in him. You can't coach that. You cannot coach dog. You're right, Shay. You cannot coach dog, but you can coach good play calling. And the Buccaneers and late games are doing very, very good play calling. So you got to do that well. Wes is in the chat, says Baker is that dude. So he's saying crap as well. Electro Restoration says crap. Baker can cook when he's hungry. And honestly, that's my biggest downfall. Like that is why I've been so, I guess, hesitant of buying into the whole Baker Mayfield thing is because at the end of the game, when Baker Mayfield is out there slinging it, doing his thing, he is arguably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But in the first half, we just kind of passive aggressive, kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like it is what it's like. That's got to knock him down a little bit. When Baker Mayfield jumps up in your face and starts running his mouth and talking that shit, that is when he is a dog. But when he's passive aggressive, he's just another mediocre quarterback. Let's just be honest. Shay says Baker is what every coach wants on his team: hungry, fearless, and a leader. He is that in the fourth quarter, 100%. That is him. Montana says if only Baker was on the Browns, they'd be decent. It's almost like they should have like drafted him or like something, right? I don't know, but like that would be a good idea. And Wes says the Saints should go out there and get Baker Mayfield. Wes, what you don't know is that the New Orleans Saints are going to go out there and trade Alvin Kamara to the Kansas City Chiefs for a 3rd round pick, maybe fourth round pick. Then they're going to trade Spencer Rattler to the Cleveland Browns for a starting quarterback. And then you're going to go out and get Russell Wilson to be your guy. The Saints are going to go out there and get Russell Wilson, or maybe even Joe Flacco. I haven't decided yet who it is going to be. But what is going to happen is he's going to go out there, Joe Flacco to New Orleans. Matter of fact, they're going to go out there and get both quarterbacks. They're like, you know what? Cleveland Browns, we'll give you a second-round pick for Joe Flacco. New York Giants, we'll give you a third-round pick for Russell Wilson. The Kansas City Chiefs will give you Alvin Kamara for a fourth-round pick. So we're giving away a second, we're giving away a third, we're giving back a fourth, all to build this team right now behind Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson. That is what the New Orleans Saints are going to do. When the New Orleans Saints do that, they will then all of a sudden become front runners for the number 1 overall pick yet again. But with that being said, guys, that is going to be it for today's show, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This has been live, raw, uncut NFL talk. Until then, till tomorrow, guys, we out.
Hey, now it's time to take off. Gotta keep it live and raw. Better stay tuned in. Man, our NFL talk. I know that you're ready for more. They on the field, ready for war. Who's in the lead? I'm checking the score. We about to do it like never before. NFL live, uncut, raw. This is Man Hour NFL talk. Let's go.